All right, so we're back. And let's see if we are back on Facebook. And are we back on Facebook? Let's see. Where is
I'm
Facebook?
refreshing.
You're refreshing. I see we're live on YouTube, so hello, YouTube. And for Facebook, and I apologize, everybody. We are having technical difficulties all week, but we're going to get this sorted out. Or my name is not Brad Bernstein. No, we will definitely get it sorted out. Let's just wait for. You see us back on Facebook? I don't see us back on Facebook.
I see us on Facebook now.
You see us on Facebook. All right.
I got the notification.
I didn't get a notification yet, but I'm sure we will very shortly. Why don't we start then? We're live. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. The next one was from sweet_T on Instagram. I've had my green card for 4 years now after being granted asylum. However, I had been holding my green card approval for a year prior to receiving the actual green card. Does that 1 year count towards the 5 years? And if so, can I apply for citizenship now?
That 1 year does count for 5 years. It's based on the time you got approved, not the time you get the green card mailed to you. So if she's been a resident for more than 5 years now, the answer is yes from the time of her approval. When was that approval, Vanessa?
It says I've had my green card for 4 years now after being granted asylum. It doesn't say like.
Okay, so yeah, it would be 4 years, 9 months, and 3 days from the time she got her approval notice.
She says she's been holding the green card approval for a year prior to receiving the actual green card.
Yeah, so then she's at 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, she has a second question. Sweet_T on IG is asking, I've been a permanent resident here in the U.S. for 5 years, and I just applied for my citizenship. My mother is in the U.S. with me right now and has been placed in removal. Can I apply for her adjustment of status once I become a citizen?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Geraldine81176 on Instagram. If my children are on Medicaid and my immigration case is still being processed, will that hurt my case?
If your children are on Medicaid, it will not hurt your case. If you're on Medicaid, it will.
Okay, Laverne Parker on Facebook asked, if my kids were supposed to have their interview in March, but it was canceled due to COVID, when will their interviews be rescheduled?
I don't have the slightest idea where your kids are or what the interview is for, let alone when it will be rescheduled. I need to know a lot more.
JJ Clark on Facebook. My case status online says currently at the National Visa Center. What does this mean?
It means your case is at the National Visa Center. Exactly what it means. It means they schedule. The National Visa Center is the clearinghouse. They do all the form work for the U.S. Embassy. So it looks like you're getting processed for an interview at the embassy after they start processing your papers.
Okay, Ruth Anderson on YouTube asks, if my brother is here in the U.S. and now employed and wants to file for his children, what does he have to do to bring them here?
File an I-130.
Claudette Fisher on Facebook. If my LPR spouse filed for me and I am currently awaiting my interview date, can I travel to the U.S. and adjust my status there?
You can't come with you can't travel to the U.S. for the purpose of getting a green card. That would be a misrepresentation.
Rosie on Facebook asked, after fingerprints are complete, how long will it take to receive an EAD card?
Hopefully soon. It's about 4 to 5 months from the time you file.
Annette Roach on Facebook. Antoinette Roach on Facebook. I completed a waiver and submitted it to USCIS in February of 2020 and still have yet to hear back. What should I do?
What'd she file in 2020?
I completed
a waiver.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know what the waiver is for. So again, you got to give us a lot more information.
Okay, Ayo Wawi Tolowalasi. I hope I said it right. On Facebook, asked if my spouse and I don't have a joint account and USCIS asked for more evidence in addition to our pictures submitted. so that we can prove our marriage and complete our divorce. What can I submit?
Well, you don't want to complete your divorce, but to prove a bona fide marriage, you have to have a financial relationship. So if you don't have a joint account, you can't prove a financial relationship. You got a problem.
Willie CH on Facebook, if I have advanced parole, can I travel to Brazil and then additional countries? Or will I have a problem returning to the US if I travel to more than one place?
You would have to stay outside of Brazil for 14 days before you come back to the US. And that, by the way, that 14 days does not include travel days. So let's say you leave Brazil Monday and you get to, let's make up a country, Mexico on Tuesday. It's 14 full days in Mexico. So you actually have to be outside of Brazil for 16 days before you come back.
All right, that's it.
All right. So, we discuss all the time on the show about submitting false information on an immigration application. It's considered fraud against the U.S. government. Vanessa recently spoke with Spar and Bernstein immigration attorney and partner Shannon LaGuerre about the importance of telling the truth during the immigration process and what can be done for people who have misrepresented themselves. Let's watch.
Even the smallest of lies can snowball into big problems. This is definitely the case when applying for a U.S. visa or green card. There are harsh penalties for making false statements on immigration applications, so harsh that a person can be deemed inadmissible under U.S. law. With me today to discuss the importance of telling the truth during your immigration application process is Spar and Bernstein immigration attorney and partner, Shannon LaGuerre-Maingrette.
Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
I'm great, girl. I can't wait to get into this. I feel like we have these conversations all the time on the show, and who better to see than you to walk us through this. So first question I have for you, Shannon. Why is lying during an immigration process so detrimental to someone's case?
Well, it's really detrimental because immigration applications are all about credibility. It's whether or not the immigration officer or the judge actually believes what you're saying. And it plays a big role because immigration judges in particular have a wide latitude of discretion. So if they feel that you're lying about something, it certainly can be problematic and quite frankly can be fatal for your case. So it's really, really important to always tell the truth. I tell people a lie is a lie, but sometimes people try to, get around it and they'll be like, well, you know what? I didn't say it. They didn't ask me anything pertaining to it. And I'm like, but still, it's a lie because at that point, it's a lie of omission. There are lies of commission, correct? So that's basically, that you're telling a lie, that's not correct, what the truth is, but you are now basically telling and making a statement that is false. So that's a lie of commission. And a lie of omission is what we just talked about, basically, when you sit and you don't say anything and you're misleading the interviewer, the officer, or the judge. And that is also problematic. For example, is that a lot of times people will be in their home country, they're coming in as a child or a single, unmarried son or daughter of a U.S. citizen or green card holder, but they're married, right? But they know if they say they're married, they're going to have to wait much longer. So they just don't say anything to the officer. They understand that they're not supposed to be getting that visa. They just don't say anything, but it comes back to haunt them later on.
What happens when a client doesn't tell you that they lied upon entering the country and you are in a green card interview with them?
It's perturbing overall for everyone involved. A lot of times that has happened to me and the officers are basically understand that I don't know what's going on. Obviously, my client did explain to me what's going on. And that certainly doesn't look good overall because now not only are you lying on the application, you're lying to the officer, but clearly they can see that you have lied to your attorney also, right? It also basically, at that point, there are times that I try to stop the interview because I want to basically kind of get a sense of what's going on. Officers are kind enough to basically say, of course, I'll give you a moment with your client counsel, and then I'll be able to go outside and have a conversation like what's going on. Other times, the officers, which is fine, will sit back and say, no, counsel, you can't have a moment. I want to know what's going on. And at that point, basically, a lot of times the client will tell the truth at the interview and they're ready to take a sworn statement. And that puts me in a position because I can't really represent you zealously because I don't know all the details. I don't know all the truth. And that's really why it becomes a problem. And it's really imperative to speak to your attorney about everything that's going on because you want them to be able able to defend you and to be able to represent you zealously and adequately. And when you don't give them all the information, you're putting the attorney in a situation where they can't do their job.
And USCIS will always find out in the end, right?
Yeah, I mean, so interestingly enough, it's a really great question because there are people who will go through the process, like every step, and have lied their way through, right? So they'll be in their home country and they've given a lie at that point, and they've been able to get their visa and come into the United States. Then they're at a green card interview and they're able to basically get their green card. Ultimately, they end up getting found out, usually at the naturalization interview. So they are very, very thorough. They vet all the applications. Even if you've lied and people then start to feel very confident and are like, okay, I've done this on my own and I'm okay, they will get caught, and at that point will be placed in removal proceedings, and that certainly is not where you want to be.
So what is your advice to anyone who is applying for a green card?
I tell anyone applying for a green card, I think it's really important to speak to an attorney, one that is experienced. And it's not just any attorney, right? Because you can go to any attorney. You want one that's experienced and that has basically experience in immigration law. Immigration law is extremely complex. So if you're doing an immigration application, speak to a qualified immigration attorney, be able to tell them what's going on. These cases can be very complicated, and you want to be able to tell them the truth so they can guide you, and do it before the application is filed. A lot of times people will do the applications on their own because they're like, well, you know what? A lot of people do it on their own. It's just, you're filling out paperwork, but that's not the case. I mean, there's so many little nuances that only an experienced immigration attorney will be able to look into and tell you, no, you're not qualified. And other times they'll be like, you are, but you have to basically do a waiver.
Yeah, you got to leave these things to the professional squad. So make sure you leave this to the professionals. Now, how do you go about remedying the situation when a client has lied on their initial entry form?
Well, a lot of times, basically, if they tell me in advance, we do consultations here all the time. So a lot of prospects will come in, prospective clients, and will come in and say, okay, this is my situation. This is what happened. And what I do is that usually I'll have them do a sworn statement with me, right? So an affidavit, we call it, explaining the situation. So we're actually preparing, okay, beforehand and telling the truth. And it looks good, right? Because at that point, we're letting them know what the issues are. And again, it's a case-by-case basis, but I try to do that sometimes, especially when I know, because like we talked about before, they're going to get found out, right? Because the reality is that they're doing fingerprints. Immigration has access to, whether it's in another country or here in the United States, they have access to it. And so usually I'll be like, they're going to find out, so let's prepare. Do a sworn statement. Other times I understand that a waiver is required. So I understand that there's an inadmissibility issue, whether they've been arrested, whether they basically have committed fraud. And so I'll prepare the waiver, understanding that I will probably have to present it at the interview.
Yeah. And can you tell me about a case you had where the client lied on their application and you were able to still get them their citizenship?
I mean, there's so many, but one that sticks out was because they went all the way to the end, kind of like we were talking about before, came into the country on a visitor's visa. Then at that point, basically, he got married to a U.S. citizen, was able to get his green card. But during that time when they were married, he ended up having a child out of wedlock. Did not advise the officer of that. So when he went in, he did lie, right? So basically he indicated that he did not have a child on the application. Afterwards, he ended up having 2 more children with this particular woman, and him and his wife ultimately broke up, and then he filed for citizenship. So they found out because of the taxes, right? Because on his taxes, he claimed the children on his taxes. So when he went in for citizenship, the office was like, wait a minute, this child was born during the time that you were married. Actually, 2 of the children were born during the time that you were married, and you never advised. At that point, he was placed in immigration court before an immigration judge, did a motion to terminate because we were able to get the ex-wife to come in and testify about the situation. She was having problems getting pregnant herself. She had gone through fertility treatment. She understood the first one and almost forgave it. And after the second was like, this is ridiculous. And that's how they broke up. But at that point, they were married in good faith. They loved each other. So it wasn't a fraudulent marriage. They loved each other. They ended up having problems. And that's really what the issue is. You want to be able to explain it. There are plausible explanations. There are all kinds of situations that occur in marital relationships and all kinds of relationships. And you want, again, it goes back to credibility. Will they believe you? Does it make sense? And that's really what you're trying to do, because it's a story and you need the judge or the officer to believe you. And so he ultimately ended up, the judge terminated the cases and said like this, that he believed that, unfortunately he had an affair, ends up having 3 children with the mistress, and then wife ultimately leaves, but it was a bona fide marriage. He did receive the green card in good faith, that it was actually done and it was reasonable. And at that time we filed for citizenship once the judge terminated proceedings, and he became a U.S. citizen.
Amazing. And again, telling the truth and leaving this to the professionals. To get in touch with Shannon or any of our other talented attorneys here at Spar and Bernstein, call 1-800-529-5465. That's
1-800-529-5465. All right. Speed round?
Yep.
I'm going to answer 9 questions in 50 seconds, or it's going to get very hot in this studio. You ready?
Let's do it.
That's not 15 minutes. Boy, Julian has no faith in us. Not to. Julian's like, all right, you're going to answer 9 questions in 15 minutes. Let's call Guinness on that one. He's given us 50 seconds. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
What's a Stokes interview?
That's the second interview where they separate you and you got to prove it's a bona fide marriage.
What does bona fide marriage mean?
It means that you live together and have a financial relationship.
Did Trump end TPS?
Yes, he did.
What application do I use to apply for my fiance?
I-129F.
If I join the Army on a conditional green card, do I get citizenship right away?
After 1 year of being in the Army.
What is the difference between seeking refuge and asylum?
Refuge is applying outside of the United States. Asylum is you're at the border.
Can I seek refuge in the U.S. right now?
No, they're not allowing it.
What is the I-212 waiver?
That's the waiver to come back after a prior deportation.
What's the I-751 form?
That's to remove conditions of your permanent residence.
Got it.
Done.
Something works today. We did it. Balloons.
Come on.
Come on. There you go.
There it is.
There you go. The balloons. The balloons are there. All right, comments of the day. I'm done celebrating. Good job, guys. Comments of the day, Julian.
Look at us. Let's see if we can keep this going all week.
Yellow balloons, yellow background. Comments of the day. There we go.
All right, our first comment of the day came from Carmel Love God, saying, "May God bless you always, Uncle Brad. Big up, real top man. Love and respect."
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next comment of the day comes from Manjurul Alam. Brad, I think you are not only a good lawyer, but also a great, knowledgeable philanthropist. Did anyone tell you this ever?
No, it's the first time.
Hat.
Thank you. Wearing another hat, philanthropist.
There you go. Third one comes from one of our faves, Don Harriet, saying, "You're an essential service, Brad."
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. That's why that's why we decided to come on today. We didn't go black.
Right.
Whatever it is. What do you go dark? What's it called? When you don't go out dark.
Go dark. We didn't go dark.
No, we did not go dark.
Yeah.
And our last comment of the day comes from Purple X Mela or Mila. Good evening, Brad Squad. Missing the Brad show is like missing my breakfast in the morning. The best immigration lawyer in New York. Thank you, Brad, for your great job.
Thank you very much. That's really nice. All right, guys, quick programming note. We're going to be off tomorrow and Friday while we fix all of our equipment. We will be back live on Monday. Have a very nice long weekend, but I'll see you back Monday live. Thanks for watching. So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but you know, Brad, I have to do everything around here. It's bad enough I've got to remember everything that happened on the episode from the previous day.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Spar and Bernstein law firm located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAW-LINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Spar and Bernstein, located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Spar and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And now, conveniently located in Hartford, Connecticut on 1 Congress Street. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAW-LINK. 1-800-529-5465. What are you doing?